Former kickbox world champion and multimillionaire Andrew Tate is known for his controversial statements on a variety of topics. One of them being depression, what led to a heated debate in the Piers Morgan Uncensored show after Andrew Tate said this.
I believe depression is a real thing.
I believe that feeling depressed is real. I don't believe depression as a clinical disease is real, no.
Really?
Since Piers Morgan refused to accept that statement and deemed it as ridiculous and dangerous, let us take a closer look from a psychological perspective if Andrew Tate really is that wrong on depression.
I know that feeling depressed is real. I believe that the number one power you have against these things are trying to take control of your own mind and affecting your own life. I believe that it's not healthy to hand over all your power and believe that depression is an outside disease that you can't affect.
So Andrew Tate said a lot of important things here. First, I'd like to start with the last part of the last sentence. Depression is not an outside disease you can't affect. Andrew Tate is actually right in this point. The German-Greek psychiatrist Stavros Mentzos sees depression and other mental disorders as a defense mechanism. He describes depression as an active response to conflicts, trauma, and other strains in life. That's what he calls the function of dysfunctionality. Although depression is an active response to something, it's dysfunctional and pathological. Depression and other mental disorders are intrapersonal disorders that can be affected and aggravated by outside factors such as losses, tragedies, accidents, violence, etc. But these factors are not the sole cause for the development of depression. Because if it was, every person who was abused or lost their loved ones got to become depressed, right? But that's not the case. Other personal factors such as resilience, genetics, emotional regulation and regulation of one's own thoughts and how we process outside events also come into account. So, having control over your own mind and affecting your own life are very powerful ways to handle depression. But I wouldn't go as far as saying that it's the number one power one can have, since the reason why someone becomes depressed is not the same for everyone. Different reasons mean different strategies to use and different paths to wander. Before we answer the question if clinical depression is real, let's hear a bit more of what Tate has to say.
If someone comes to me and says I'm clinically depressed or I feel very, very sad, I would say the first thing you need to do is stop accepting the identity of a clinically depressed person. Stop accepting you have no control over this. And what you need to do is stop identifying that way, and let's work together to try and fight against it.
But there isn't an eminent...
Okay, first I'd like to differentiate between being clinically depressed and feeling very, very sad, because depression isn't defined by only being very, very sad. Clinical depression manifests itself in the following symptoms: feelings of sadness, tearfulness, emptiness or hopelessness, loss of interest or pleasure in most or all normal activities, tiredness and lack of energy, memory difficulties and reduced attention, reduced self-esteem, feelings of worthlessness and guilt, sleep disturbances, reduced appetite and weight loss or increased food cravings and weight gain, recurrent or frequent suicidal thoughts or suicide attempts, and agitation, restlessness or anxiety. As you can see, there's a lot more to depression than only being very, very sad. Maybe Tate wanted to simplify his statement, but treating depression and sadness as equal doesn't bring justice to the severity of depression and suffering of the depressed people. However, I do agree with him in the point that depressed people should stop thinking they have no control over themselves, and that's what Tate means by stopping to accept the identity of a depressed person. And that's why I find Piers Morgan's statement way more dangerous than Tate's.
A clinically depressed person has an absolutely proven medical condition that is beyond their control.
Not according to me and many others, my friend.
Accepting that depression is beyond your control is like taking away any hope for curing. I would encourage my patients to accept their feelings, thoughts and symptoms that all in total make up their depression, so they can start to reflect upon themselves and bring light to their suffering. Before we continue, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button to help me with my channel and not miss out any of my new videos. The last part of the interview I want to look at is the following.
And my point is that a lot of people who are clinically depressed are suffering with something in their life, and if you fix the problem in their life, perhaps they won't feel depressed anymore. That's not a disease.
Yeah, but Andrew,
that's situational.
Andrew,
what Andrew Tate is saying here sounds all logical and practical. However, my clinical experience taught me that a lot of people actually don't understand why they are depressed. So fixing the problem will be difficult if the problem is unknown. But to answer the question, is depression a real thing? Well, for the affected people it is. Maybe Andrew Tate is not that prone to depression than others, who knows? His approach and view on depression, however, is not entirely wrong. People can affect their minds and get better when they control their mind and get in shape physically, but that won't work for everyone and for some only to a certain degree. To sum it up, Andrew Tate lacks sensibility in his choice of words and speaks in generalized and simplified terms. But the feeling of depression is real for the depressed and an established concept in psychotherapy that goes deeper than sadness and feeling down. So what is your take on this whole topic? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.